Andrew Walter, and I'm the LSE Academic Director of TRIUM, and I would like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone here today, particularly to the graduating students, but also to their families and friends, and to all the academic, administrative, and other staff of TRIUM who are here today to celebrate this very exciting occasion. And now, last but not least, I would like to invite Michael Davidson to address you on behalf of the class of 2012.
So, our dear hosts and organizers of this event doth have a sense of humor. When they marched us in here today, they marched us downstairs and through a room with well over 100 empty champagne flutes that we could not grasp, we had nothing to consume, and yet we had to eye these flutes as we came into this room. And so here I am standing before you as really the only thing between you and those flutes. So I will make quick work of this speech. But I'm emboldened because although I'm going to talk a lot about collaboration, there was no collaboration between our speeches, and yet you'll find very similar themes in what I'm about to say. So I feel pretty good about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, Madame, Monsieur, academic leadership and faculty, but to rephrase that with economy of words, I guess it's better to say, my dear friends. Let's begin or commence at the beginning. Aristotle said, "Education is an ornament in prosperity, a refuge in adversity, whose roots are bitter, but whose fruit is sweet." So we are now masters. We've just received a degree. And I have to tell you that it is sweet. But that flavor of bitterness rests on my palate for a very good reason. And that reason is because while we've learned a great deal in this program, when I think of the things that I've realized I don't know about a great many things, that list is much longer than what I've learned here. But I guess a known unknown is better than the contrary. But let me give you an example, because you love examples and cases. That's what we do. While this global program is conducted in English, and I am speaking English right now, most of you speak multiple languages and quite fluently. And I can only imagine the challenge of taking classes, tests, writing, discussing in and out of class in a language that is not your first, but your second, third, fourth, if you're Frank Dubarry, fifth, sixth, or seventh. He may have picked up Mandarin since we finished our work this January. Who knows? But I admire you for that. I can only speculate to understand what that's like. But English allowed us to learn together, study together, and to become friends. So I'm thankful for that. But I'm not done about this English language bit. When you look at the history of the English language, it was actually brought to Britain by Germanic tribes from Western Germany and the Netherlands. It was brought to us. And ever since then, through the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and all the centuries since, English has, without shame, borrowed and taken words from all of your languages. So from that perspective, thank you for the English language. Since we are friends now, and this is an intimate setting, I'm going to make a confession. Sometimes I need help getting in the mood. And the music that you heard coming in as I got up is known as Pomp and Circumstance. In the United States, pomp and circumstance is played at virtually every graduation, every commencement, throughout your life. When you learn your ABCs, they play pomp and circumstance. When you learn to kick a soccer ball, they play pomp and circumstance. I think that when I had my first kiss, pomp and circumstance was playing faintly in the background. And if it wasn't, I imagined it was. And that was just as good. The irony is that when Edgar Elgar, who wrote the piece in 1901, not long after LSE was founded, I learned today, he was inspired by the military prowess of Britain. And yet this melody has come to symbolize not conflict, but learning, human progress, peace, and unity among peoples. Quite ironic. The piece itself consists of 5 marches, and the one that you heard and the one that is played at all of these different ceremonies is known as the Land of Hope and Glory. Aptly named, I think. Now I'm in the mood to make this speech. And I pared it down to 10 pages, so I spared you. Hope, sharing, industry, and family. If you tune out for the rest of the speech and only remember one thing, it's those 4 words. Hope, sharing, industry, and family. Because what I'll talk about is that these are at least some of the cornerstones of human achievement. So let's talk about hope first. It is hope that drives virtually every aspect of our lives. In the most basic sense, our evolution or evolution. We hope to wake up in time in the morning for a meeting. We hope our clothes will fit as we get older. We hope that the visit to the doctor is uneventful. We hope that our children will live in a world free of war, nuclear proliferation. We hope that we have enough resources to provide a good life to those we love and future generations. We hope that the great economic minds of the day can navigate us through this global economic storm and avert the metaphorical fiscal cliff. On the other hand, of the many things that a person can lose without losing their life, an arm, a leg, a competition, money, a job, pride, there is nothing worse than someone who has lost hope. When we decided to pursue this degree, we shared a fundamental and humble belief that there was something we lacked that required attainment or development. We all agreed that we needed something to improve ourselves in some way. And the reason we are here today is that we had hope that TRIUM would fulfill these needs, which I personally feel it has even beyond my expectations. The TRIUM application process was arduous, and it focused on you and me. Who are you? What have you accomplished? Prior education, career, compensation, leadership, awards, accolades. Tell us all about you. In other words, what have you accumulated? But as we stand here today and look forward, the question becomes, what will we give? In other words, what will our contribution be to this world? Will your children be world citizens and leaders? Will you leave behind wealth, possessions, innovations, ideas? In still other words, what will define your life? The apparent paradox is that while we spend so many years driven by our hopes, defining what we want in this world, what ultimately defines our character and legacy is the hope we inspire in others. Hand to Hand in India, the African Leadership Academy, Lego Play and Autism, the TRIUM Legacy Fund. These are just a few familiar examples off the top of my cap. When people come together, inspire hope in one another, and share ideas. It would be wrong not to quote Adam Smith, so I'm going to do it. As Adam Smith stated, the real tragedy of the poor is the poverty of their aspirations. Look around you. We have a position in this world. We were blessed because we can do something about that. We have aspirations, and we have the means to do so. Which brings us to sharing, the second of our cornerstones. Sharing is another element that we teach our children, but when it's embraced and exercised by a society, the impact on what we can achieve is astounding. And let me give you some examples. After all, a page of history is worth a pound of logic. That's Oliver Wendell Holmes. Let's go to 15th century China, early 15th century China. China possessed the most advanced technology, fleet of ships that voyaged the world. And what did the Chinese do while they were voyaging the world on these grand ships? They were sharing, they were learning, they were collaborating, they were gaining intelligence and ideas from every culture that they touched. If China didn't make a deliberate decision to turn inward at that point in time, during that century, they may very well have discovered the new world, so to speak, and they probably did so before Columbus had the opportunity, because the maps that the Chinese made, the cartography, made their way to Portugal and Spain, Venice, and then to the explorers who discovered America. The context is a wonderful thing. Elizabethan England, the age of Shakespeare. Is it a coincidence that censorship enforcement among playwrights and copyrights was relaxed or non-existent during this period, which allowed a free flow of ideas between authors and playwrights and thinkers? The list of names when you look up this period of time in England is phenomenal. 18th century Europe, the age of reason, Voltaire and company, whose great thinkers influenced Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, who were drafting the Declaration of Independence and Bill of Rights. Amazing, it could only be an American that leaves Britain to form a new country, fight a war, and then come back for advice on how to run it. No shame. 19th century Russia, Peter the Great embraced the ideals of the Enlightenment and even hired advisors from Europe to help him do it. And when you look at Russia during the 19th century, phenomenal. Tchaikovsky, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy, Chekhov, Pushkin, these are amazing minds that redefined their art. And of course, 19th century Scotland, not far from Russia. Adam Smith, Edinburgh, Glasgow. What was the ideology? It was reason. Any authority, if it was going to have authority, had to rule by reason. One more example, and we're going to move on. Silicon Valley. So from the 1950s through the 1970s, the chief technology geography in the United States was not Silicon Valley, it was Boston. Route 128, as it's known, in Boston. 6 of the 10 largest technology firms in the world were in Boston. They had MIT nearby, they had Harvard nearby, everything seemed just right. But something went wrong, because by the mid-1980s, Silicon Valley had twice as many technologists. And now we know today what's happened. I bet that every single one of you in a purse, jacket, or pocket has something that was developed in Silicon Valley. So what went wrong? What happened to Boston? What happened was that in Boston, those technology firms adopted a very secretive, very private stance to their development of ideas, and there was virtually, I won't say no sharing, but there was very little sharing of ideas and collaboration. What happened in Silicon Valley was that there was open sharing and collaboration. In Boston, you had non-compete agreements that stopped someone if they left one firm from joining another and bringing their ideas with them. You didn't have that in Silicon Valley. It was virtually very Darwinian, as you would say. You could go to one firm, you could bring your ideas and collaborate, and that's what made the difference, actually, between Boston and Silicon Valley. Thunder is impressive, but it is lightning that does the work. Mark Twain. Our third cornerstone is industry, and of the many definitions for this word that I looked at, and I'm sure there are many definitions that fly through the mind of an economist, I can hear the gears turning, the one meaning we're going to focus on here is simply the energetic and diligent devotion to a task or goal. Amazon.com has ended every one of its annual reports since 1997 by stating to its shareholders, this is day one, emphasizing that although we are enjoying the taste of success and accomplishment, we must remain vigilant and not only work harder, but work smarter with the knowledge we are gaining. We are here because we are indeed industrious, and we have earned a seat in this room. But another thing we have in common is that many of our hopes and dreams have come true in the process. And whether we owe that to our family, to education, decisions, luck, timing, we are among the very fortunate on this earth. And as we enjoy the spoils, we have to give thanks and remember that this is day one for us. Hence why this ceremony is often called a commencement. I just mentioned a word, which is our fourth cornerstone, family. Today, many of us have family in the room that are here to share this celebration with us. But we all have families that for generations made sacrifices and gave us love, knowledge, support, even those that we may not have known personally, and so we can't thank them personally for all they did for us. My ancestors were comprised of farmers in Scotland and Ireland, a tea merchant in China, a pub owner in New York, a custodian in a primary school, and an electrician. Their hopes and dreams were simple: to make a good living and provide a better life for their children and their children's children, and so on. Their legacy gave hope to my family, and I stand here at LSE as a beneficiary of their farming, bartending, service to others, long sea voyages to China for tea, cleaning up after primary school students, and repairing electrical systems day in, day out. Today, we honor our families, those who came before us, those who could not make the journey today, and those that are right here in the room. For without all of them, we wouldn't be who we are. We could not have gained access to this program, nor less succeeded, nor would we be filled with so much of this thing called hope, which is our first cornerstone. In everyone's life, at some time, an inner fire goes out. It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle the inner spirit. Albert Schweitzer. My friends, it is our family and those we love and with whom we surround ourselves in this world that continually rekindle us when our inner fire wanes, restore our confidence, and soothe our animal spirits. Hope, sharing, industry, and family. As we march out of this hall today, we are indeed soldiers. Although different from the kind that Elgar had in mind when he wrote Pomp and Circumstance, and our mission is to fly the flags of hope, sharing, industry, and family, and never at half-mast. For if this is a land of hope and glory, it is so because those who came before us made it their legacy to give us hope, and perhaps someday our children will look back at us and be equally thankful and mindful of what has been given to them, and they will pay it forward. Today we celebrate, today we rejoice, today we revel in new friendships, today we share a new perspective and a mission. Today we have graduated. We have finished what we started. We are masters in the administration of business. So let us commence our march forward of masters of our own destiny, with hope, with glory, with pomp, in these ever-fleeting circumstances we call our lives. Thank you and God bless.
Good luck with finding them again.